I'm German and I've just left the United States for Europe. I've been quiet for a while and maybe you've wondered why. And it's because things have changed. A lot. I'm no longer speaking to you from my kitchen in the United States. I'm on the Queen Mary 2, the last living descendant of the Titanic, somewhere in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, between the life I've lived and the life I'm sailing toward. Many of you might have believed that I'm already in Europe. I've actually lived in the United States for the last 7 years. In fact, I haven't lived in Germany for most of my adult life. Everything I've created, written and shared was born there. A few days ago, I packed up my life, grabbed my dog, drove down to New York City and boarded this ship. Now I'm crossing home. And home is a word that feels both foreign and familiar to me. It's where I began, but not where I've been. I built a full life in America. Friendships, work, and a rhythm that really felt like its own kind of belonging. Leaving meant taking apart something that felt whole, knowing that even if it's right, it will still hurt. And so the last few weeks and months leading up to this voyage were some of the hardest of my life. And even though I continue teaching until the end of the semester, this time online through the screen, I haven't really had time to grieve any of it yet. Because leaving a place always means leaving a version of yourself. Out here, time moves differently. We're traveling at the pace of waves, steady, endless, and alive. We're moving through distance rather than over it. And maybe that teaches me something about letting go and beginning again. As an immigrant who has now left the United States, I also keep thinking about the Titanic, about why people once made this journey into the opposite direction. They were chasing hope, opportunity, and new chances. And I felt like I didn't have that anymore. So maybe it's symbolic that I'm sailing this route in reverse. I'm not only escaping, but also returning to remember, to rebuild, and to also begin again. Walking away from my students, at least in person for now, was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. Because it was my dream job, and I've worked my entire life to get there. Teaching, for me, moves like water. It's quiet, but relentless, and it reshapes everything it touches. And it always finds its path toward meaning. Yet, sometimes the tide turns. And when it does, the only honest thing to do is to follow it. Somewhere between the heartbreak and the packing tape, something new was taking shape for me. A realization that everything I've been trying to teach, to write, and to live, really all of it, boils down to one question: how democracy survived the human mind. This realization became State of Mind, which I will launch in the next few weeks. State of Mind is my attempt to strengthen democratic resilience with an eye toward understanding our psychology. I'm going to tell you more about it if you'd like, but in short, it will bring together psychology and civic life, research and reflection, and in many ways it's the anchor I've been building toward all along. And much of it did happen in America, in the long nights between lectures and deadlines, in the quiet moments between grading papers and recording videos on here, and in conversations with you. You've listened, asked questions, and dared me to think harder. And somewhere in those exchanges, I realized that that's what I'm meant to do. To dedicate a large chunk of my life to democracy. Understanding it, protecting it, and helping others make sense of it. State of Mind will be a home for that work. There will be books, some of which I've already written, workshops and courses, and it will be a space for anyone who wants to understand how minds and societies shape each other, and how we can keep both alive. I would like you to be part of this. If you have questions, ask them. If there are ideas or reflections you would like to see explored, tell me. Because so much of this project was born from what you've shared, asked, and wondered. Right now I'm going to relish this moment because I am really exhausted. And this here is a rare chance to feel the in-between, to stand on a deck where the past is behind you, the future is still invisible, and the horizon asks nothing of you except trust. So, from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, between what was and what's next, thank you for being here, for listening, and for helping me find the current that carried me forward.